Hey everyone, my name is Tegan, welcome back to TandeWrites, where today we are on year 3, I believe, of Indie Wrapped, which is just, my end of year wrap-up video where I talk about what I've achieved this year as an independent author who did actually publish a book this year. I'm going to go in vaguely chronological order. I think last year or the year before I grouped it by book because I had a lot more going on. This year I got a lot less going on. So let's start in January, where the first thing I did this year was release the audiobook for Paper Forests. And another big thing is that I finally have an updated copy of Paper Forests where it has the quote here instead of all the way across the top. Exciting day for me. So it might have been it would have been end of last year. I was in the production phase for the audiobooks. I knew I wanted an audiobook just for more of learning how to do it, because I already had an idea of what my next book was going to be, and if I went the independent publishing route for that one, it would have to have an audiobook eventually. So this was a very experimental time for me. I've got a whole video about this, which I got a whole video about a lot of things mentioned in this wrap up, so I'll put links in the description. But for this one, I did the auditions on voices.com. Originally, I was looking at Audible because that's just the easiest way to do audiobooks auditions wise, and none of the narrators were speaking to me, and a large amount of the narrators did not fit any of the requirements I was asking for, because some people just, I guess, spam audition anything and see what happens. And then I went on to voices.com. I was scrolling the auditions, and there's one called Harry Dyer who the first sentence I heard him speak, I thought that is my character. And the auditions was hard in general because there were a lot of great voices, but there's some people where if I hear my own words being read back to me, I just felt so much cringe, secondhand embarrassment. But I heard Harry speak and I was like, I need you to narrate every book I have with a male narrator from now on. And that was a really fun process to listen to it in full and hear my words come to life, and then to also listen to it on 1.7 times speed when it was released. But that happened in January. The Paper Forest audiobook is out. I imagine most places you can get audiobooks, except I think Audible might be the one place has Audible accepted it. Audible might be the one place that hasn't accepted it because they seem to have requirements to get in that they don't tell you about. It's yeah, your book's not been accepted because we just have too many books already, because it doesn't meet a requirement and it won't tell you which requirement. So Paper Forest isn't there, but the Paper Ghosts short story audiobook that I narrated and released myself, all through the same websites, has been accepted, so who's to say? Yeah, this book is still my baby. I hope to work on the sequel for it this year, or at least another short story or something, because I envision this to be a trilogy. I would like it to be done at some point. And I spent the bulk of the first half of the year kind of pitching and querying my book, There Will Be Other Summers. There's one behind me, but I'll hold it this one anyway. This one I DIY'd the edges, so it looks like this. I'm still pretty sure it's not a final copy. I don't think all of the copy edits have been applied. But the first pitch event I did was in January, February time. I might have submitted it in 1 month and got responses in the next. But Small Pitch is a Twitter account where you can literally submit a paragraph or a sentence long pitch of your book into their database. And a lot of independent small presses have access to that database. And then they'll get back to you if they like your pitch, which is very exciting. I expected nothing to come of it, because as I mentioned in a lot of my querying videos, this book is YA contemporary, with no romance. It's got disabled and queer characters, and that's just not something publishing really wants right now, which is why I knew when going into querying it probably wouldn't get picked up by a traditional press, but I was willing to give it a go. So I submitted to the Small Pitch event, I waited, and then I heard back from 3 presses who wanted to hear from me. One of which I think was more of a romance press. I did again, when I got round to querying, actually submit my full queries to all these presses. But the first one was a heavily, I think, more dark romance press. I don't know why they reached out to me, but I did just to see what would happen. One of them had published a book where I read the advanced copy of it years ago, and it was it would be a good comparison for mine, so I had a lot of hope for that one. And the other one was a good potential, I think they're more an LGBT focused, but an LGBT romance focused one. So there's some with potential. I'm pretty sure none of these pitches got back to me in the end. But being chosen did make me feel very special, and it was the first time I thought, this book has potential outside of just how much I love it. It's the first time I saw real interest for this book. Then in sometime in February is when I did officially start the querying process. I made so many videos about this. I didn't commit to it very long. I think I didn't commit to anything. I sent out a lot of queries in a short amount of time because, again, at this point I was confident that it's not the book people are looking for, but I was willing to give it a go. Again, just for the experience of when I write a book that is actually, sellable and marketable. And I sent about 80 or 90 queries over a 3-month period, all of which were rejections, and none of which gave me any kind of personalised feedback. So, other than what's the word I'm looking for? A form rejection. A lot of agents will have they'll have multiple automatic rejections to give out. A lot of mine was basically the book's not fit for the market right now. They love it, they love my writing, but the book's not fit for the market. And I knew that. I can't be mad about that. But I wish I had some kind of feedback. So the querying went February to June, maybe. And in that time, in April, we go back to Paper Forest for a second because there was the TandeWrites indie sale. I'm pretty sure the Twitter account is called TandeWrites, but they are a big advocate for independent books. They put together a sale where they just promote that your book is on sale. And also they made these bundles where a lot of fantasy books got put in a bundle, a lot of romance books got put in a bundle. I got put in one of the bundles, and the day or the weekend of the sale was, I think, the most books I've sold in one day ever, excluding release day when the pre-orders come through. And it was just very exciting to see my book alongside, in banners and posters with all these other books, a lot of which I have read, and just one of those moments that made me feel like a real author. And I'm so dedicated to independent self-publishing because I don't hugely care about making a profit right now. This is very much for fun. These books are out because I want to see them on my shelves rather than I want them to be a career. I would like to make money from my books at some point, but I understand how unlikely that could be. So there are days where I've sold a lot of books in terms of giveaways. Sometimes the book just goes out for free. But this was a big day where I made a large number of books sold and also made money from it. And it's just a very surreal, strange day for me. I was I could buy something with this money. Realistically, a lot of the money that I do make from selling books goes straight into a savings account that I use to make more books. Now we're into August, September time. So The Will Be Other Summers came out in September. But before that, I was, talking about it. I obviously had to announce it before it came out. And I've been talking about this book in various pitch contests on Twitter for a while. You post the mood board, you post your first line, you post a fun quote from it, just to gain a little bit of interest. And I don't usually gain a whole lot of interest from these. But Kay Ankrum, my beloved favourite author, interacted with my post one time. We followed each other on Twitter. It was very surreal. And then I was, tweeting into the void, hypothetically, God, one day I hope to be successful enough that, authors want to read my book and put their name on my front cover. And then my beloved Cass Bean, who is the author of Vesuvius, which is here at the moment. It's off camera. But they replied to my tweet and just said, hey, send it to me. And I was frozen with paralysis for days because I was oh my god. An actual author, TM trademark, has reached out to me. I was, begging for attention. But they reached out to me. I sent the book over. Obviously expecting nothing to come of it, because they're a very, very busy person. They're on deadlines and writing books and promoting Vesuvius and blurbing other people's books. And then they replied to me. They replied to my email. I think I saw the notification come through and I was oh my god, they've acknowledged I exist, they've read my book. And I did see their tweet confirming that they were actively reading my book, I think days after it was posted. And just again, the fear of the mortifying ordeal of being known, or being perceived, happened. I was oh my god. And then I couldn't open this email for hours because oh my god, what if they've replied to me to tell me they hate my book? But they didn't. They loved my book. And they gave me such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful quote that I would tattoo on my heart if that was a realistic thing to do. And also around this time we had some other quotes, but competition reviews, indie book reviewers rather than authors. So we had Reader Views gave me a 5-star review, and again a very lovely, lovely review. AuthorsReading.com gave me a review as well. Okay, this isn't a final copy. The final copy has the quotes about this book on the first page, and then the quotes about just me on the second page. But I received a lot of love. I also submitted this book for advanced copies go out for readers, and I got like a handful of... This is like stuff I didn't do with Paper Forests. A lot of the Paper Forest attention came from BBMIA, which is Book Bloggers Novel of the Year Awards, which I think the entries open for that soon, or last year gets wrapped up soon. And pretty much every review I have on Paper Forest is related to that competition and the judges of that competition. So I didn't, and I also wasn't expecting anything to come with the book, so I didn't promote it at all, really. For There Will Be Other Summers, I thought I'm gonna submit it and just see what happens. And then I did get a handful of advanced reader feedback, which is again very lovely. And this is, I think I've said this before, when this book was released, or it still is my lowest selling book ever, by far, but it's my most positively received, and I value that so much more than any other Goodreads statistic. And also because I spent my money making this book, because I did every part of it myself. I'm turning a profit. I've paid off my advance, the advance I gave myself of £0. But yeah, it's been a very warmly received book, and I still think it's a very important book in terms of the disability and the sexuality representation. It's very special to me. And how much I love it will always override how anyone else feels about it. Release day happens somewhere around here. God. I think just because I've made so many specific videos this year about this is a very well documented book in the production. I'm just given the highlights, the key points, and it's not like last year I didn't really do much. I think the year before I had Paper Forest, I had Paper Ghosts, I had March and I had so much going on. It's been a very chill year where I spent a lot of the time anxiously refreshing my inbox, just waiting for career responses. So There Will Be Other Summers came out on September 18th? I think. September 18th. So it is out in... this is the more special paperback format, where it has... There's a hair on my arm. There's also hair all over my body, but Special paperback format where it has the cover that I drew myself. It has the deluxe kind of formatting. It also has you can't really see it on camera. Oh, you can today. It's got very fancy formatting, and it's got not an extra scene, but in the other version I kind of removed an irrelevant scene to make it shorter and cheaper to produce. But this is the fancy edition. There's also the ebook that has that cover. There is a specific Kindle one, and then there's just the ebook on every other website, because Amazon Kindle KDP was just not accepting my audiobook. There's also... I need to clarify, these books, if you order them, won't have colourful edges. I just did that myself because I was bored. This is the kind of Amazon standard edition, where it has a discreet cover in case you are part of a household where you can't have pride flags or women or men on your covers. And this one, yeah, is literally a discreet cover. This was designed by Gabriella. I've completely forgot her. I forgot her Etsy name. Gabriella Regina. That's the one. And it has, it's shorter because it's formatted slightly differently. It's got a scene removed. Ignore that I've stained the front cover. It's got nothing on the inside. And that just makes it a lot cheaper to produce, so it is a more affordable option. But other than one scene removed, it is the exact same book, just not pocket sized, but littler. And then in case you were in need of a brick, this is the large print edition. So There Will Be Other Summers is a book about a blind boy and a deaf girl. So I wanted to have a version of the book that was, large print to make it accessible to as many readers as possible. And that's why I'm so focused on doing the audiobook. I say it's in production. I'm really struggling to find a narrator who speaks to me. And I know I have a lot of good options, but I don't have the great option. So I want this book to be accessible to as many readers as possible. Here is the lovely large print edition with a discreet cover as well. And look at this absolute chonker. Yeah, here's a chonker. It's also this case laminate hardback, just to give it a bit of structure. But it will lie down, it will open up nicely. I made the gutters wide enough so you can actually always see the book. And I also made a large print version of Paper Forest last year. Again, just to experiment for this. So now I have 2 bricks that just live on my bookshelf. Then the final thing of excitement for me was the BookLife Prize, which is a competition that, again, advocates for independent and small press books. I entered this last year. Or with Paper Forest, I entered a lot of competitions. With There Will Be Other Summers, I'm being more selective. I'm trying to only enter competitions where you are guaranteed to get like something out of it, because it can get quite pricey after a while. And that something usually is, there's some competitions where if you enter, you get like a guaranteed review for your book. The BookLife prize is one of them. You get like a full report where it kind of breaks. I'm going to pull up. I'm going to try and pull up to describe the report to you. It gets broken down into categories. So your book gets a rating out of 10 based off 4 categories, which is rated out of 10. You have plot/idea, you have originality, you have character, execution, and you have prose, and that averages out. When I entered with Paper Forests last year before, 2 years ago, ages ago now, I believe it ended up getting like a 7.5 out of 10, which is like, yeah, solid, that's good, because I love this book. I get that it doesn't like conform to like most fantasy ideals, but I love this book. I believe in it. It's done good for me. So I submitted There Will Be Other Summers for the sake of a guaranteed review. And I thought, oh, it'll be fine. People don't. I've grown to expect that people don't really care for the genre. And then the book got a 9.75 out of 10. And I said, huh, what's going on here? And they got this like lovely, obviously very positive review. A lot of the reviews, even if the book's not, it gets like a low rating. The comments are aimed to be constructive and positive. And so you can put them on your book cover. I think the paperback version of Paper Forests has the BookLife prize quote on the cover. And the BookLife prize is broken into like multiple rounds, which I'm once again pulling up details so I can get this right. So you have the first round where every submission basically gets entered, and that can be hundreds, thousands of submissions. They all get the review, they're getting their score out of 10. And then it's also again broken into genre. There's like a YA category, there's a fantasy category, a romance category, a memoir category. There's only 4 categories. It's very broad, which is another thing that makes it so hard. You get a lot of competitions that have hundreds of categories, and that makes it like a little easier to win. But a lot of the time then you are just winning like a PDF of a badge to put on your website. And then out of these categories, the books with the 10 highest scores progress into the quarterfinals. And There Will Be Other Summers was in the 10 highest scores out of, hundreds of books. And I said, what's going on here? So There Will Be Other Summers progress to the quarterfinals. And then during the quarterfinals, those top 10 books get looked at again, and then the top 5 progress to the semi-finals. Then There Will Be Other Summers progress to the semi-finals over some of the books that had like a perfect 10 out of 10 rating. And I once again said, what is going on here? And after that, Paper Forest, it didn't progress to the finals. It's still a semi-finalist. Like, deep down, obviously, I wanted it to progress into the finals because, winning. And if you became a finalist, you would get another, like, promotional blurb, a promotional review from a guest judge who could be an award-winning best-selling author or professional editor. My sweet angel is a semi-finalist of the BookLife Prize, and that is more than I could have dreamed of. Especially as Paper Forest flopped so catastrophically and got nothing. So yeah, a lot of like vaguely surreal things have happened to me of just how much people love this book. Like, no one knows it exists, but the people who do really love it, which is strange. To the point where it's like, I know I'm going to have to commit to TikTok and post 5 times a day, because that seems to be the only way to make sales on books anymore, or on independent books. Because I just can't grow my audience on any other platform. It's not working for me. And then the final thing of interest that happened this year is going back to Paper Forests again, specifically the paperback copy. I mentioned, it might have been last year, that I went into my local library my second closest library, and I found Paper Forests on the shelves. And there's a website, it's the public library, it's the British Library Public Lending Right, which is a scheme where if you have a book you can sign up to, and it's how you receive the profits or the royalties of your book being in libraries and loaned from libraries. And I signed up to it last year, and then I noticed on there that many years before my first book, Beauty and the Breakdown, it had like a lot of library loans, and I said, my book's in a library, I didn't know about this. And I found that Paper Forest in the library, and I thought, okay, I'm going to take it out, I'm going to give myself, the 1 penny of it being loaned, and it'll be funny. And I looked at the website a few weeks ago, and I said, that loan number is more than 1. someone else has been reading my book. And yeah, library statistics are something that I would probably never find out about if I didn't use this website, because I pretty much like Goodreads reviews and Goodreads stats is just the only like real source I have of like, oh, someone's reading my book. Like, yeah, sure, there's more reviews than sales, but someone's reading my book. And now it's like, someone from the library's reading my book. And as a kid who grew up living in a library, pretty much, that was very special to me. And I'm excited for my end of year report, so I can see like finally how many. And yeah, I might make a couple pennies off of this, but you're still making money for your book. It doesn't matter how much money it is. It's like, wow, I'm a real author in a library. My book has one of those horrible plastic protected covers on it, but that's my baby. And yeah, I'm working hard to get paid. To get There Will Be Other Summers in the library as well, because once again, I feel this book is very important. So yeah, that is what's happened in this year. Plans for next year is I'm kind of working on the paper for a sequel. I'm torn between two ideas for my next book that I will attempt to query and traditional publish. There's like the odd few like Paper Forest universe short stories and like a mermaidy short story I want to write. But I think my big thing is that I'm gonna have to lock in and commit to TikTok. And that was Indie Wrapped 2025. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.